Hi guys, welcome back to the 22 Teachings channel. I'm Naha and I'm here today to talk to you guys about the fall equinox. That's this time of year. It actually is September 22nd this year, and I'd just like to give you guys some of my ideas for things that you can do around this time to actually align yourself with the properties of centeredness, balance, and get yourself ready for the rest of the quarter of the year. It's not the long daylight hours of summer, and it's not the short daylight of the middle of winter either. It is just the tipping point between that when we have equal light and equal darkness, hence the word equinox. So it happens twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall, and the spring equinox is actually the beginning of the zodiacal year. It happens on the first day of Aries, which is March 21st, and so you can kind of consider this to be like the half birthday of the year, the half birthday of the zodiacal year. On the same day that we have the autumn equinox, we move into the sign of Libra, which is the 7th zodiac sign. So we've completed the first half of the cycle, and now we're entering the second half. And I always think that moving from spring into summer, it's not a major transition. We're already kind of moving upward, and it's getting warmer and things are getting brighter. And then when we move from fall into winter, we just kind of descend into winter. But when we move from summer to fall, it's kind of a big flip-flop, just like when we move from winter to spring. These are really the bigger shifts of the year. So if we want to be magical practitioners, and that means that we want to align ourselves with what's going on in these larger sort of cycles, in the seasons and in the sky, just as ancient people very much did. Paying attention to moon cycles seems to be much more on people's radar these days. People are doing new moon rituals, they're doing full moon rituals. House of Intuition has been able to launch a Moonbox subscription with their awesome moon candles every month, and it's become super popular. And I think that people now are just understanding, oh, there's something to be said for taking that moment to set intentions, to have gratitude, to do some clearing. And if you can do those things at any time of the day, any time of the year. You can always set intentions. You can always do a clearing and do a ritual bath. But if you align yourself with the energy of what's going on in the world, what's going on in our solar system, then you're only going to be assisted in your process, and it's going to make your work more intentional. Now, I always say, if you learn more about the way that you can do things to make it more intentional, it doesn't negate the work that you did before you knew. So let's say you've been always using the full moon to set intentions. You see the moon bright in the sky and it inspires you to set intentions for the next cycle. Then suddenly you find out, no, actually it's new moon that you're supposed to be doing it, and it's on the full moon that you're supposed to be clearing and releasing. Does that mean that you were doing it wrong this whole time? Does that mean that all of those intentions you set are actually no good and that those are just null and void now? No, it doesn't mean that. So remember, when you learn more, when you have more knowledge, it simply adds to your ability moving forward to be more intentional. Don't judge yourself and think, oh, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. So one of the best things that you can do to get yourself ready for the fall equinox is to do some big cleansing work. So consider, yes, there is the new moon and the full moon. That's your monthly intention. That's your monthly cleansing. Well, on the equinoxes and on the solstices, which are the other quarter points, so high summer, high winter, and then spring and fall are the equinoxes. Those are really good times to do your quarterly intention setting. So you're not just setting intentions now for the next month, you're setting them actually for the next 3 months. What are the things that you would like to achieve between now and 3 months from now, which will be the winter solstice? So you want to prepare yourself so that you can have your roads open so that those intentions can actually happen. So that's going to begin with clearing, and it's always the first part of my magical process. So I'm always going to start by obviously clearing myself. I've got to do me first. So I'll take a healing, cleansing bath. That means more than just a regular scrub myself down bath. I'm going to put sea salt in. I'll put herbs in. I like to put lavender, sage, rosemary in my bath. I'll put some crystals in there. I'll add essential oils. And then when I go into that bath, I step in with the intention that this is a purification. I light candles. I make it a magical process. Then I come out and now it's time to clean the home. So you all know about sage, I'm sure, and if you'd like some better tips on using sage to clean your house out, I actually just did an article with Spiritual Gangster on all about smudging and using sage, and I will link that article down below so you guys can check that out. But I also wanted to show you something that I like to do, so I brought some sage here. Now, if you're fortunate enough to live where sage grows naturally, then you can actually pick it yourself. But you always want to be very respectful to the earth and to the plant. You don't want to just grab more than you're going to need. And I always like to, when I'm picking any kind of herb for magical purposes, I like to sit for a moment with some gratitude for the plant. And I actually like to ask, is it okay if I take some of this for a purpose? Who am I asking? Well, I'm asking the plant. And I feel in my heart of hearts, yes, it's appropriate. Then with respect, I'll take some of this plant. Now, you can go ahead and light your sage and just burn this whole thing, but I'm going to show you guys what I like to do. So a lot of times sage comes and it's wrapped up with a string. So first of all, I cut that string off because there's a couple of reasons why I do this. For one, once you get this sage going, it's going to make a lot of smoke. It can be really hard to put it out because it'll be hot and burning on the inside. So even if the outside's put out, it's like you're lighting a huge cigar, basically, and it can be hard to get it put all the way out. So you don't have to light this whole thing. You can actually just unwrap it, untie it, and you can get sage like this basically a lot of different places now. If you don't have somewhere near you that sells sage, you can order this online from House of Intuition. But a lot of magical places sell this, and I think even some like health food stores, places like that, you know, they have a section now where you can get this kind of thing. If you have an import store, sometimes like different Indian import stores, they'll have sage, things like that for cleaning your home. And you can either just take a section off. The other reason I don't like to burn the whole thing is because it doesn't really smell good when you burn the stem. So for people who don't like the smell of sage, I think a lot of times it's because they've smelled that woody stem burning and it doesn't smell good. You just want to burn this part. Now, for me, it makes a lot more sense to just burn this than it does to burn this whole entire thing. This is plenty to clear a room and clear a space. And rather than just waving this around all over your house, what you can do is light it, blow it out so it's smoking like an incense stick, set it in your container, in your abalone shell, or just your, a bowl will be fine. Then you go around your house, and you can use your hand or you can use a feather to move that smoke throughout all of the rooms of your home. One thing that's important to remember is you want to open everything first, meaning your doors, your windows. You don't want to just move energy around and around inside your house. You want to actually move stagnant energy out of your house. So open everything up first. Again, if you've never done it that way, if you didn't know, well, now you know. And so you can do it a little bit better than you've done it before. I like to go in a counterclockwise motion when I'm clearing my house out. In magic, that direction is called Widdershins, against the sun. So not in the direction that the sun moves, but in the opposite direction, which is counterclockwise. Then when you're trying to bring energy in, you move in a clockwise direction. So in a counterclockwise direction, starting from my front door, I'll sage out my house. And if you don't like having smoke, if you don't want to put smoke in your home, and not everybody can stand it, not everybody likes it. Another thing that you can use is you can use a selenite wand, which is a large crystal wand, and you can do the same thing. You can run that all around every corner. Kind of, I think of it like I'm using a fork sometimes, and I'm stirring up spaghetti, so I'll get into the corners with that. I'll go throughout my whole house, and then when I get to my front door, and I like to do this when the sun is out because the sun will help to transmute, I blow on that selenite wand to clear it and to send whatever it might have picked up out to get transmuted, meaning to be raised from a low vibration to a higher one. But the other thing I wanted to show you guys that you can do is you can just take some of these sage leaves and you can rub them between your hands. And whenever you rub dried herbs between your hands, it helps to release that fragrance, release that scent. So you can rub these between your hands, and then it smells so good. And then you can actually just use your hands that you are projecting that energy and directing it and moving it out of your home with harm to no one, so that that energy can be released so it's not trapped in your home. So sage is very good around this time. The other thing that I recommend is a really, really good magical sweep of your house. And I don't know how many people have tried this, but once you do it, you're gonna see this changes the energy of your house so much. Now, if you have carpets, you might never have swept your house because you don't use a broom on carpets, you use a vacuum cleaner. But you're not thinking of this as necessarily to be cleaning dust or dirt out of your carpets. You're doing this to clear the energy of your house, and it will clear dust out also. So what you want to do is you want to start at the back of your house. You want to get a nice big broom. A really good tip, a good one to use. I've seen these before. I think that people usually just think that these are for display, but I've seen them at Trader Joe's, and sometimes they have them at other kinds of craft stores like Michael's, and they're cinnamon brooms. They're actually brooms that are made out of cinnamon branches. They sell them around the fall, so if they do have them, now's the time you're going to find them, and you can use that too. But you're going to go to the back of your house and you're going to start sweeping your floor all the way out to your front door. And you're not just doing it just like, oh, I'm just sweeping up a little dust here and there. No, you've got to really put your back into it. You want to actually really, really get almost a little bit sweaty. I mean, you're thinking the whole time, I'm pushing energy out of my house. And if you start at the back and you go all the way out your front door, ideally, if you can, you want to take it all the way out to the street. Now, if you live in an apartment building and your front door opens up to a hallway, then you do the best that you can. You go out to the hallway, but it would not hurt for you to actually go down the hall. Maybe you want to do this at night when all your neighbors aren't going to think you're crazy, and sweep out the front of your apartment building. But if you are able to go right out to the street, go right off of the sidewalk, right all the way out to the street, and you do this with a sense that you are releasing any stagnant energy with harm to nobody else in the environment. You're not just trying to make your stagnant energy someone else's problem. You're sending it out to be transmuted, to be repurposed into something more positive. So now that your house is cleansed out, now that you're cleansed, you've moved the stagnant energy out, and this kind of really, really deeper cleansing, this is what you want to do on the equinoxes. Do a nice little smudge every full moon, but really get in there on the equinoxes and on the solstices. The next thing you want to do is you want to address your altar. Now, if you don't have an altar in your home, this is the time to make one. So basically all that an altar is a place in your home where you have gathered your magical implements and you've put them together in a way that you can use that to create a vortex of energy to amplify what your prayers are, what your intentions are, and to give a focus to the things that you are working on. If there are prayers that you're sending, right now there is so many people in need in the world of our prayers due to all of these natural disasters that have been happening, the earthquakes and the floods and the hurricanes. And people really need energetic support as well as they need actual human support, donations, and do not neglect giving time, energy, and money where and when you can. But you can also send light, healing, and prayers to those people, and that actually is very needed as well. And one way to do that is to sit at a place in your home that would be your altar. This is where you can light a candle. This is where you can place your crystals if you want to charge them. You can honor your ancestors. You can sit and meditate and ask for a sign from your guides. Your altar can be used for any of your magical purposes. And the things that you would put there, basically, in the simplest kind of sense, you want something that represents each of the 4 elements. You want something that represents fire. You can use a candle. If you don't have a candle, you can use a red crystal. You can use anything that would be symbolic of fire. You can even put a red triangle, because that's going to represent fire. Then you want a representation of water. You can put a little glass of water. You could put a seashell. You could put a statue of a mermaid. Whatever represents water to you. You want a representation of air. That can be a feather, that can be a bell, anything that makes a sound, anything that floats on air. Your incense, if you have an incense burner, that can represent air as the smoke goes through the air. And then you want a representation of earth. That's something of the earth that's natural. So you can have a crystal, you can have a piece of wood, you can have a potted plant, some beautiful leaves, some flowers, and a pine cone. Anything that comes of the earth that's going to represent that. So place those 4 things there, and then if you have anything else that you want to add, you can. But one thing that I do recommend is don't make your altar too cluttered. Don't feel like every single magical thing that I own has to be on my altar. Give it some room to breathe. Intentions need space and they need room to breathe. So it's less important that you put every magical thing you own there. And it's more important that you are selective and you have some discernment to just place what is needed and leave room for spirit to come in and do the rest. And if you have things like extra incense sticks, matches, lighters, containers that you keep these things in, none of that needs to be on the altar. All of that can be put in a drawer somewhere else. So you don't need all of the things that you use just to turn your altar on. Put that stuff somewhere else. Just put the basic essentials that are needed there. You might want to place a tarot card or an oracle card of an image that you are working with. So you can place those things on your altar, and it's a great time to set up an altar now for the fall equinox. Now, if you have an altar, this is time to clean your altar. That means to break it all the way down, clean those items. There's things they're going to accumulate dust. You want to wash everything off. You want to charge your crystals. And you want to also take a look at the items that have been on your altar for the last quarter and say, is it time to switch these things out? Are these things still relevant to the intentions that I'm working on? So you might want to use different stones, change the color scheme. You might want to add things that feel like fall to you. So I'm going to put this little white pumpkin on my altar. Also, citrine is a really good crystal to use. I brought a couple other of my very favorite equinox crystals. So I have smoky quartz, a smoky quartz wand, and I brought my big beautiful garnet as well. So both of these are very much grounding stones. And that is the other aspect of doing equinox work. Because this is a time of balance, for ourselves, the equinox is a time to say, how can I get my life in balance? And it oftentimes starts with being grounded. Being grounded lets us be centered. And when we're centered, we can make the best decisions. We can listen to our guides the easiest. We can have a nice open channel to the divine to listen to what it is that we should do and not just be pulled all over the place by what everyone else says we should be doing or what society thinks we should be doing or, you know, what our TV is telling us we should be doing. So if we want to really be in alignment with what is our greatest good, we want to start by being grounded, then center ourselves, and then be open to what our highest self says that is really what's best for us. So one of the ways that you can really get that dialed in is you can do a little bit of an exercise, a little bit of journaling, and really take into a consideration the different areas of your life. You want to think about your health. How have you been eating? How have you been sleeping? How have you been exercising? Really think about that. Sometimes things fall away from our priorities. Sometimes we just forget, oh yeah, that's right. I haven't taken a yoga class in a long time. I haven't gone for a run in a while, or I haven't even stretched for a while. So you want to take a look at, okay, how are those things in my life? Then you want to consider, how are my relationships? Now, if that means your romantic relationship, if you're in one, you want to consider, is that in balance? Am I putting enough energy into that? Am I receiving enough energy back from that? Is there anything that I can do to bring that into greater balance? And if you're not in a romantic relationship, you want to think about relationships with other people in your life. So with your friends, with your family. And this can be a really good time for you to consider, especially if you've been on the outs with anyone. This might be a good time to actually bury the hatchet or take a look at what your part has been in whatever conflicts may have arisen. It's also important at this time, and I mentioned it before, to honor your ancestors. So you can do that by lighting them a candle, by saying a prayer for them, and by just allowing yourself to recognize that even though your ancestors may no longer be alive, even though you may have not met them, you still have a relationship with them, you still have a connection to them because they are related to you. There are things about you that you have inherited. There are traits, qualities, passions, desires, memories even, things that you do take on from your ancestors. And you can derive a great deal of energy, of support, and of deeper knowledge about what it is you're doing with your life if you consider that there are people that came before you that also put their time and energy to invest to bring success to your life as well. Then you want to take a moment and you want to consider the state of your mental health. How stressed out have you been? How much anxiety are you carrying? How much are you worrying about things? If there's a time to release worries, it's now. It's at this equinox point. And this is where you can say, you know what, let me think back over the last 3 months. Is there anything that I was stressing out about 3 months ago that I'm still stressing out about? Well, let's take into account, are you okay? Are you alive? Do you have a roof over your head? If you have the basic fundamental aspects right now, it is time to make an agreement that you can release a great deal of worry, because there's a lot of people in the world right now that do not have those very basic things, that have had their houses demolished, that don't have clean water and food to eat. And if you can consider that if you have those basic things met, then you're going to be okay. And it is time to stop worrying about, am I going to have enough? Am I going to make enough money? Am I going to, have enough people in my life that I need? So consider, if you can, you are okay, you're going to be okay. And look to help somebody that is in need at this time. It's really a great way to help you to release some stress and release some worry. And if you are still feeling like your stress level is off the charts, it's time to think about what other kind of ways that you can dial that in a little bit. Do you need to meditate? Do you need to use more time to do some breath work? Maybe it's time to go talk to a professional, talk to a therapist, talk to a tarot reader. Get some help, get some insight so you can get some direction in your life. And then finally, you want to take a look at your energy levels. Have your energy levels been too high or too low? And what are the things that you're putting into your body that might be affecting that? So I know for myself, I need to have a pretty high energy level, and that's not my natural energy level. Usually I'm a very low-key, kind of chill and laid-back person. But because of the amount of work that I do, I have to really keep my energy up. And I had found myself over the last few months really realizing how much I was relying on coffee to get myself through the day. Now, I love coffee, don't get me wrong. I love my black coffee. It doesn't matter if it's 80 degrees outside. I still drink my coffee hot. I know a lot of people think that's weird, but it just really became something that I felt reliant upon and really addicted to. So I made a decision to go ahead and cut out coffee for the time being. I don't know how long I'm going to do it for. It's been about a month. But what I'm doing is I'm allowing my body to return to some kind of sense of being able to maintain a healthy energy level. And I'm not giving up all caffeine. I have my black tea here right now. So I'm still drinking caffeine, but I'm breaking myself of that need to have coffee to even get myself going in the day. So you can consider that. Is there anything that you're using that is affecting your energy levels that maybe you're doing yourself a disservice because you actually can regulate your own energy levels just through healthy choices in your life, by getting good sleep, by eating good food, avoiding too much sugar, too much caffeine, of course, too much alcohol, drugs, things that are ultimately not going to be good for you. So this is the time to really get it dialed in. Does this mean that you need to go top to bottom and change every single thing in your life? Absolutely not. That would not be possible. This is time to take inventory on where you could be better and just see if you can dial it in a little bit. See if you can adjust things just a little bit. I've been really into this idea of, instead of making changes, change sounds so scary. Instead of changing yourself or changing who you are, just making some adjustments, you know? So just making conscious decisions to say, let me make healthy choices and let me begin and do that one day at a time, one step at a time. And just being aware of what it is that you need to be working on is really the first step. So that is basically my overall go-tos for the equinox. You want to clear things out. You want to set up your sacred space, set up your altar so you have somewhere to focus. And then you want to really take a look and be intentional and say, what are the things that I need to work on? What are the things I need to adjust? And how can I dial things in for the next 3 months? And with that, you can really, really kick off a very strong fall season and really get the most out of it. Now, if you're here in Los Angeles, we'll be doing a special ritual at the House of Intuition. That's something that I lead every equinox and every solstice and every month, quite frankly, which is the middle pillar healing ritual. But on the equinoxes, we do that specific to that energy of balance. So if you're here, I will leave a link down below where you can join me for that event. And if you're not in LA, you can check out more about my classes, ceremonies, rituals, and teachings on magic on my online classes, which are on HOI.TV. Now, if you want to be able to find all of this stuff all in one place, all of the articles and links to HOI TV and links to all of the events that I do, you're going to find all of that on my website, 22teachings.com. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a very magical equinox, and I'll see you soon. Bye.